my fellow readers, I, Dark Symphony 777, with the second part of my second Q&A, the gaming-themed Q&A. It took me a little longer than I thought was going to be. Mainly because I was supposed to do it last week, but stuff happened, and so I kind of had to do it this week. So I made a video suggesting your questions, gaming related stuff, and I got some answers. But it's better than nothing. It's better than I get no answers, and I get very sad and lonely. Over dramatic sobs. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So I'm just gonna go through them as best as I can. So let's get started. So the first group of questions we got is from a YouTube user called BWaifu. I'm not even joking. I literally wrote. I have a notebook right here that has all the questions that I was asked, and literally the person's name was BWaifu. The person has a thing for Sectonia. I mean, Sectonia is, yeah. You don't know who Sectonia is? Sectonia is like a bee woman thing from Kirby. I think it was Triple Deluxe. Yeah, it was Triple Deluxe, and she's like stuff. So the first question is, do you know the Metroid series? I do. I happen to be a pretty big fan of the Metroid series, and I just realized I left my pen. No, wait, I got a pen right here. No. No, that's, no. Let's see. Okay, there we go. I just realized I left my pen at the, on my bed. Yeah, I do know the Metroid series. I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, there's two games, honestly, that I would get the Switch for. It'd be Metroid Prime 4 and No More Heroes 3. I freaking want to play No More Heroes 3. I want to get the game. I don't even care if I have a Switch. I'm probably gonna get Metroid. Just No More Heroes 3. Just to say I have it. But yeah, I have been kind of on and off fan of the Metroid series. I haven't played all the games. I played Prime 1, Prime 2, Prime Hunters, Prime 3. I actually played a Japanese version of Super Metroid at a con years ago. I think I played Other M, and I think I played a demo. No, not a demo. Yeah, that was it. And Metroid Prime Pinball. There we go. I mostly played the Prime games, but I do want to play some of the other games like Samus Returned and the original Metroid. I never even got a chance to beat Super Metroid because, again, it was at a con, so it's like I couldn't exactly, I couldn't really get that far. Stuff like that. So what I progress is what I got. But I do like it. I have heard of it. What game is your favorite, and why? I also like the fact in parentheses he said, Other M does not count, does not exist like Metroid Dread. For those who don't know, Metroid Dread was a project that Nintendo was not Nintendo. Retro Studios was considering making. The first hint of its existence was actually in Metroid Prime 3, or it was revealed to be canceled, and they just left the Easter egg there, and so on and so forth. First up, I want to say, hot take. I actually think Other M is a fine game. Let me elaborate on that. Gameplay wise, it's actually not bad. I don't think it's as good as the Prime trilogy, but I do like what they did with in terms of controls. That's what I liked about Other M. The controls, I thought it was very smooth. I thought everything flowed well. Everything gameplay wise, except for the stupid goddamn restricting everything. If there was a better reason, I would have accepted it. Like in Prime 1, Samus actually had all her gear already on her, but the explosion of Frigate Orpheon basically, shut down, caused her systems to crash down, and so she has to find ways to repair it. Metroid Prime 2 had her had basically the Ing steal all her weapons, and she was caught unawares. And Metroid Prime 3 was when she actually had all her gear, but Dark Samus took with that phase on. They had to literally take apart the suit and rebuild it, so they couldn't put everything back on her that she wanted, and that stuff like that. So at least those had legitimate reasons of why, while other images, I'm not gonna let you use those. Good. but outside of that, gameplay wise, I thought it was a fun game. Story wise, and writing wise, that other M's a shambles. From those two. From story, from writing to characters, everything that's not related to gameplay is complete hogwash. Oh my god, that is just complete hot mess. But I wouldn't say Other M is my favorite Metroid game. I would actually have to say Metroid Prime 2 would have to be my favorite game. For one thing, I do like the fact what they did with the game, because I played Metroid Prime 2 first, and then I got to a part where I didn't know, mainly because I wasn't really familiar with the Metroid lore, so I didn't know that Samus can turn into a ball. I honestly just didn't know that, and I was lost behind when you first meet the Dark Splinters, and then you go to a room where sorry, my eye's irritating me. And you go into the room past the crashed Olympus, and you see these two holes and bodies cover them, and I didn't know how to progress past that, so I literally was stumped, and I just never bought the game. I never played the game until I played and then I got a copy of Metroid Prime, and I played that, and it's oh no. And then I managed to actually beat Prime 2 Echoes after that. I do like all three of my Prime games. I think with what they did with Prime 2, I mean the only thing I didn't like about Prime 2 was the enemy selection. I thought it was just very cut and paste, mainly because once I found out the backstory behind it, Retro Studios was only had 3 months to finish Metroid Prime 3. They only had 30% of the game, and they had so many ideas and different enemy types that the crunch more or less had them take shortcuts with using the Ing of instead of turning them into new enemies or enemies exclusive to Dark Aether. They basically just recolored all the enemies. That's basically one of the cost cutting measures, that they literally just had Ing possess the enemies and then just make them recolor. So it's okay, we got more enemies there. Done. But I do like everything about Prime 2 Echoes. I like everything about all three games. I just think Echoes had the best balance. It was my one complaint about Prime 1 was it wasn't exactly hard. I didn't really die a lot in Prime 1. The only time I really died was against the Omega Pirate and Meta Ridley. That was really it. While Echoes was more thoughtful, with the whole pacing with the light statues and everything, and trying to figure out how to traverse Dark Aether and figure out the best path and figuring out how to do it in the quickest way. I thought that was a really nice balance. I liked the gameplay. I mean, the gameplay is the same across all three games, so you don't have to question anything. I do think they had better bosses than Prime 1. I do think they had out of all the bosses, boss roster, Prime 2 probably had the strongest. Prime 1 had pretty good bosses. Prime 3 had really good bosses, but Prime 3 was kind of held back by the Guardians of the Leviathan Stones. Well, not Omega Ridley. Omega Ridley's fine, and of course Aurora Unit 313. That thing was just why, why. Granted, Prime 1 and Prime 2 had their kind of weak parts. A lot of the bosses in Prime 1 were eh. And they were more puzzle bosses than anything else. And Prime 2 had the final Dark Samus fight, and what was it? What was that one? The not the Powerpuff Guardian. Oh yeah, the Alpha Block, stuff like that. That was just bland. But I do think Prime 2 had the best gameplay. It had the best balance. Like, you had the ammo thing, so you weren't really overpowered. You weren't really purposely overpowered. You had to go out of your way. The Ing Emperor is probably one of my favorite bosses in gaming ever. I still have trouble on that one boss. I can easily breeze through like everything else except for the Ing Emperor. Mainly that third phase, which is if you play on the hardest difficulty, that thing will psych you out and basically play mind games. So it's like a really cool back and forth. I really like the Ing Emperor. I like the gameplay. I do like the simplistic story. Everything about Echoes, I just prefer over 1 and 3. It's just my opinion. You know, if you want, I actually like to hear BWaifu's opinion on what he thinks is the best Metroid game. Like if he likes Echoes or not. I like to see that. Do you know what Mischief Maker is? No. Do you like the Banjo-Kazooie games? If so, why? I know of the Banjo-Kazooie games. I just never got a chance to play it. My friend actually has Rare Replay, which actually has Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. Who knows? I may spend like an hour just playing the game, see what it's like. But who knows? Have you played games based on the Warhammer series? No, I have heard of Warhammer, but I haven't played any of the games. What was your very first video game and console? My very first video game console I actually ever owned. It's kind of two ways to interpret this. Like, one, which one I officially owned or which one I bought. If we go by both logic, the first console I actually ever officially owned was a Nintendo 64. Was actually a old school Game Boy Color. It was green and it had a couple games. We bought like a couple games. We actually bought like Link's Awakening DX, Pokemon Silver. That was actually the first Pokemon game I ever played. Same with Pokemon Yellow. There was a Crazy Castle 3, which was like a Bug Bunny game. I really loved that game. That game I spent so much time trying to beat because that game was so much fun to play. But the first official console I ever bought is, to date, the only console I actually managed to scrounge enough money for, which was actually a Nintendo 3DS. I actually bought that game using the money I scrounged up when I was working at Publix. I got the game actually exclusively for Resident Evil Mercenaries because I happen to be a monster fan of the Mercenaries mode. I actually really like the fact that they kind of made that its own game. Honestly, Treyarch should have some inspirations. Like, we've been asking for a COD Zombies solo game forever. Why can't they let us have that? Why? No, I'm not talking about the crappy mobile game. But yeah, that's like the only game to date I actually bought wholesale. Like, every other game console I had was more or less just Christmas gifts and birthday gifts for my family. But the 3DS I bought on my own. I bought Mercenaries. I bought Star Fox 64. I bought a Double Survivor Overclock, and I bought what was that other game? Kid Icarus Uprising, and I got that for pre-sale. So I actually got the original Kid Icarus on like digital, which is fun. And then when it came out, I was actually going to get Mega Man Legends 3, but that got canceled. And stuff like that. The very first video game, this one's actually kind of easy because growing up, my family actually had a lot of consoles. We had at one time an Atari 2600, a Nintendo SNES, a Sega Genesis, Game Boy Color, an original Game Boy, a PlayStation, a Nintendo 64, and a Sega Dreamcast. All at the same time. We owned those all at the same time. But all the games I had, I technically owned were not really mine. They were other family members. The very first video game I actually owned, like officially owned, was Castlevania Symphony of the Night. It still, to date, remains one of my favorite games of all time. And, actually, one second. I still own it. I actually don't. Like, you do, like, they kind of soft dropped on, mobile devices a couple months ago. Like, but you could actually play Castlevania Symphony of the Night on your mobile device now. And I still own the game. Like, once I found that this was put on the App Store, I actually just went and bought it. Like, prices be damned. I'm gonna get that game because I still play. It's still my favorite game of all time. It's not my personal. It's not what I think is the best Castlevania that shifted to Order of Ecclesia, but I still have a lot of sentimental value about Symphony of the Night. I basically bought it when I was about 8 years old. My grandfather actually had like a newsletter in his neighborhood. Like when I was kids, I lived in a neighborhood where they had a newsletter. They had like a clubhouse, and they basically like every once in a while they had like movie night or game night for like the adults and the kids. And so people would like literally all the parents would bring in their kids to the clubhouse and allow you to play. And they basically showed off a movie that everyone thought at the time wanted to see. Like we saw Twister, we saw Bugs Life, we saw Disney's Aladdin, Hercules. I mean, we saw a lot of movies. It was a once a month thing. But everyone looks forward to it. Like then there was other activities like poker night for the adults, bingo, stuff, and there was a newsletter. And my grandfather was in charge of the newsletter because he was actually on the little board, which was in charge of that stuff. Like he wasn't just him; it was a couple other people, and so he allowed me and my cousin to do the newsletter and said, if you get this, we'll give you about $25. And so, me and my grandparents, me and my cousin, we walked a lot. Like there was we were in a neighborhood, but it was connected by 4 other neighborhoods, so it's actually pretty big. And so we did it. We got the $25. I actually begged my mom, said, I want to get this game. Because I found out about Castlevania Symphony of the Night from my older brother. We don't talk about him. That's all I'm going to mention. And I saw how much fun. And I saw the game, and I was like... And my mom literally forced him to let me play it for like 5 minutes. And I really liked it. And so I begged my mom to take me to GameStop. And I specifically went in looking for that game. I said, do you have Castlevania Symphony of the Night? I said, yes, we have a We have a copy. And I thought, okay, it'd be like $25. It's like, no, it's $30. Like... Oh, because guess what? In the 90s, games used to cost $30. Oh, how time flies! Now games are like nearly $80, and that's just if you get the standard edition. But yeah, my mom knew how much this meant to me, so I spent I used the $25. My mom paid like the last $5, and she said, you went out of your way you want to work and stuff like that. So as like an early birthday gift, she gave me like the rest of the money just to buy the game. And I was really happy. I played the shit out of the Castlevania. I still play the shit out of Symphony of the Night. I put well over, how many hours have I put in that game? Like 300, 400 hours into Symphony of the Night. Oh my god, and I had that game on and off. I played that game on literally every single console it's come out of. I haven't beaten it on the mobile devices yet, mainly because the control scheme is very wonky, and it's a mobile. It's not gonna be, the controls are not gonna be that well. But I put like so many hours into Symphony of the Night. I put a bunch of hours in like all the Castlevanias actually, like 100 hours plus. Oh, that's interesting. Which console is your favorite and why? My favorite console actually is the Nintendo DS. Well, Nintendo, that one's actually kind of hard. I was almost tempted to say Nintendo 3DS, but I was like, I'm kind of split on the DS and the GameCube actually, because I had a lot of memories playing GameCube with like Mario Party and stuff like that. I actually would have to say GameCube. I mainly because I had a lot of memories. I was with a group of friends. We all played GameCube all the time. Like Need for Speed Underground, Super Smash Bros. Melee, all the Mario Party games when they came out. Like I had 4, 5, 6, and 7. Mario Party 5 is still my favorite of all the Mario Parties, and I had a lot of fun doing it and stuff like that. It was just an enjoyable ride, and I had a lot of fun memories with the GameCube more than I had in any other console. Like, yeah, I can say the DS mainly because I would be biased towards Castlevania. I mean, I played a lot of 3DS games and a lot of DS games, but if I had to go by sentimental value, it'd probably be the GameCube, mainly because it's the console I played a lot of games. Resident Evil 4, Piano 3. I honestly think Piano 3 is an underrated game. I think it should be remade. That game would actually be fun if it was remade. All the Mario Parties, Double Dash, Crash Team Racing, Bomberman Jetters, a lot of games I played on the GameCube. They were all so much fun, and I had so much fun with other people playing with everything. And it was just, honestly just more sentimental. Like, it was largely sentimental value. So there is that. What is your favorite game genre? Now, my favorite game genre, it actually depends. I'm more focused on what could be the most fun. But if I had to pick any, like, personal genre, it would probably be platformers, specifically Metroidvanias. I am a sucker for a good Metroidvania. Again, this is kind of biased. My favorite game franchise is Castlevania, one of the originators of the genre. I know, and you know, with like Metroid and other games, like it's always been like dubious what inspired Metroidvania. But you know, I'm a sucker for good Metroidvania. I like anything with like puzzle elements. I like a good action, but my favorite game my favorite genre is platformers. I love Mario. I love Castlevania. I love Mega Man. If it has platform elements into it, I'm probably gonna play it more often. I'm more likely to play it more often because they just happen to be fun. I do like some shooters. I do like some puzzle games. I more or less like anything, but it's like Metroidvania platform stuff I tend to like more. Do you like it when they put RTS, real-time strategies, games on consoles? Or did you not care about RTS? I'm not a big fan of RTS, mainly because I never got into it. I kind of, like, my friend, I'm actually going to be hanging out with him tomorrow. He actually happens to be a big fan of RTS, and it's kind of a big thing. Like, if I get the chance, I would get Civilization. I do actually want to try it, if only for Nuclear Gandhi. But I at least want to give RTS its fair share. I never got a chance to properly play an RTS. The only RTS I played was Command & Conquer Red Alert on the PS1, and I really only played it I didn't play it for the mission. I just played it for the mock battles, just to see what I could do and stuff like that. But overall, the thing with RTS is they're real-time strategies. There's a lot of stuff to go into them, so I can see why most people prefer these type of games on laptop and PC and stuff like that. But I do think if you're able to get it successfully and make it very run smoothly on console, then I have no problem with it. Like Red Alert on PS1 actually was pretty smooth with control keys, because everything had a purpose and stuff like that. You can easily find your way to figure out everything. It was just smooth. As long as you can make the controls for maintaining everything as smooth as possible, then I don't see any problem with having RTS on the consoles. Do you know or like Command & Conquer? I do know of Command & Conquer. I already said it. I only really played Red Alert. That's really it. But I wouldn't say I'm a big fan. I did like Red Alert. I thought it was a decent game. Next questions come from Tobias Gees. What is your favorite game / genre? I already mentioned this. So, question that. Any trope in video games that bother you? Yes, there's about 3 actually. First one, randomly giving a villain a sympathetic motive. And I don't mean a villain having sympathy. It's more I hate when it's literally kind of forced into the 11th hour. Like Albert. Let's talk Albert Wesker. Like Albert Wesker is probably one of the most iconic game villains. He's kind of like the poster boy of the whole phrase. Everyone likes a good hero, but everyone loves a great villain, because most people will think of Wesker because, despite the fact Wesker's now dead, he's kind of quote unquote the mascot of Resident Evil. Despite the fact there are people who will say Leon Kennedy or Chris Redfield, but like it's always those 3. So Wesker, it's like he's supposed to be like unsympathetic, but then the Resident Evil 5 DLC, I think it was called Lost Memories, Lost Nightmares, something involving Chris and Jill going through a copy of the Spencer Mansion, and then they randomly introduce elements that make Wesker kind of sympathetic, with like the whole cloning process and him kind of going mad. Is like, why would they literally do that in a DLC out of freaking nowhere? It's like, why would he do this? Like, yes, Alex Wesker, like I can see it kind of being done with Alex Wesker, because Alex Wesker was kind of built to be somewhat sympathetic. Same with like the Baker family in Resident Evil 7. So I don't know why they randomly introduced the Wesker project. If only, probably just to build up Alex, and then kind of make it obvious that his mind is kind of not all there and stuff like that. I thought that was just kind of weird why they shoehorned it. There are other examples, but that's the first one that kind of comes into mind. If you're going to make a sympathetic villain, kind of at least leave hints and drops here and there over the course of the story, so that way you kind of figure it out as the story goes on, so it doesn't seem as forced, it doesn't seem as like out of nowhere like they did with Wesker. But that's just make it more natural. That's honest. I don't like that. Second, amnesia tropes. Like nobody likes amnesia stories in video games, mainly because it's so weird. It is so weird to be done. Honestly, the whole amnesia thing is more one of those things that makes more sense on written word than visual. Like, take for example, Final Fantasy VII, one of the greatest games ever made. The only thing people complain about it was the whole amnesia plotline. That's literally it. Even my friend, who's a die-hard Final Fantasy fan, like he's a humongous Final Fantasy fan. He has like, if he wanted to, he would have all the merch, he would have all the games, he would have all of it, but he doesn't. And he even said, someone who really, he has religiously played 7, the only thing he did not like was that amnesia plot. That's the only literal thing he did not like about 7, was that amnesia plot that had no reason to be there. And again, this is more a thing with visuals, like, because you're watching everything, like, it made the whole amnesia plotline simply works better in non-visual mediums. It's one of those things that just it works in one way, doesn't work in another. Like for example, there's this Mario story I'm reading called Mushroom Story. It has an amnesiac Mario, but it works because it's in essence a sexified version of Paper Mario, where all the enemies are just very, very hot women. And it's supposed to represent a kind of same but kind of different mentality, and so Mario is supposed to represent the reader in that situation, and it works in that situation simply because of all the rule changes. So it's like you're not too confused, but now it's like why are the bombs suddenly all sounding Russian and they have like gigantic knockers. So it's like that. So it simply just works in that situation, mainly because it's not a visual medium, so you're able to visualize it and figure out how everything works better. it's kind of a hot mess. Trope number 3, romances. Actually, I don't like when, and it's something I don't like in general, is like forcing not just romance, but elements that don't belong in the game into a game just to pad it out. Like, I understand padding. Like, I understand the whole philosophy behind padding. You want to extend the game as much as you can with stuff like that. I donated $50 to an Indiegogo called Irma, and basically a large portion of the money is actually going towards padding out the game. Like, they want to make the game, they want people to enjoy the game as much as possible, so they're adding more. So most of the money was going towards adding more and more stuff that you can allow Irma to do and have fun and goof off and stuff like that. I see padding is more just something of a naughty word with gamers. Like, if it can be done right, then I see no problem with padding. It's just my problem is more the utilization of what the padding is. Like, if like, say Mario, like, you're playing a platformer, you're playing a traditional Mario game, like New Super Mario Brothers, and all of a sudden, the pad the game out and introduces a puzzle minigame in a platforming game. Do you see kind of the problem with that? Or you're playing Grand Theft Auto, and all of a sudden you play Space Invaders, or you play some kind of like arcadey style thing. That's padding, but it's padding that doesn't feel right in the situation. Granted, the whole Space Invaders thing would actually kind of work better in Saints Row than anything else. But you get my point. I understand padding. I just don't like it when game developers try to pad something out too much, and they pad it out in a way that doesn't feel natural. And those 3 things are what I don't like. And that includes like romantic stuff and random genre shifts. It's all just completely weird, and it just doesn't fit. So, that's my thoughts on that. What is one video game moment you remember, and why? Oh, we're going back to Castlevania. The iconic "What is a Man?" That was the first iconic video game moment I actually loved. Fun fact, I can actually repeat that entire video word for word and just do it right. I wonder, should I do it now? Yeah, why not? I'm entertaining you guys. I might as well. Why If I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do this right, which means I'm gonna get something to drink. Hawaiian punch. Good. Die, monster! You don't belong in this world. It was not by my hand that I am once given flesh. I was brought here by humans who wish to pay me tribute. Tribute? You steal men's souls and make them your slaves. Perhaps the same could be said of all religions. Your words are as empty as your soul. Mankind ill needs a savior such as you. What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets? But enough talk! How about you? I don't know why that one video game moment resonated with me more than like any others. Like, yeah, I even saw Aeris' death in Final Fantasy VII. It's like, meh. I'm just thinking of all the Final Fantasy fans I'm pissed off right now. It's like, you didn't cry at Aeris' death? How dare you? What is a man? A miserable little 6-foot-long katana that Sephiroth is obviously overcompensating for. But yeah, that's like the one moment I remember more than anything. That "What is a Man?" Because I just found it so over the top. I found it so entertaining. I found it so fun that I couldn't help but just try and remember the whole thing. And I can now do it like wholesale. It was just so much fun. Just so much fun. Next question. Favorite protagonist and antagonist. Protagonist, that's actually hard. That's legitimately a hard question. I guess my favorite protagonist would actually have to be... Would you count Travis Touchdown as as a protagonist? No. He's more of he's more of like a villain antagonist, a villain protagonist sort of thing, because it's as close as you can with anti-hero to being an actual bad guy. Like, he's really skirting the line. I would actually... That's actually very hard. Like, the antagonist part, I kind of already know. My favorite antagonist is actually, what was the name of that guy from? He's made by Capcom. Oh yeah, Eggman. I honestly just love Eggman. I just think he's hilarious. He's one of those characters where he can turn really, really ridiculous and really, really serious in like the same sentence, and it would come off as believable because of Eggman's character. I just really love the depth that, despite being like a one note villain, that he has so much depth in that one note. Not to mention Sonic Boom Eggman. He's just so ridiculous. There's so much to absorb with Eggman. It's not even funny. Favorite protagonist would actually... that is so hard, actually. Favorite protagonist. It's not Mario. I think Mario's kind of bland. Samus, if you at least talked a little bit more, then maybe. Link? No. Any of the Fire Emblem characters? No. Pokemon, did they even have a protagonist? No. I would actually have... My favorite protagonist would have to be Travis Touchdown, actually. Because I think either Travis Touchdown or Leon Kennedy. I like both characters. I like Leon. He's like really quirky, but I just like the snarkiness of Leon. Like Resident Evil 4 is hilarious. Like everything that comes out of his mouth is just like, oh yeah, I bit through this. I'm just going through the mushrooms like that. It's like, let's see how much I can piss this guy off. And Travis Touchdown is just ridiculous, like edgelord. Like he's so self-aware. Like, yeah, I'm an edgelord. Yeah, I'm just killing a bunch of people for sex. Yeah, I'm not regretting anything at all, but I'm still gonna do it. I just love Travis Touchdown. I'm a really big fan of No More Heroes 1 and 2. Oh my god, and even I'm like predicting, it's like, oh my god, sooner or later they're gonna make No More Heroes 3. It's like, yes, No More Heroes 3! Any power in a video game you would want in real life? Does money count? Can having a vast amount of money count as a power in a video game? Because I would want it. Because then I can have all the equipment and do all the videos I want to entertain you, my fans. But if I had to be, if there was one power, I would want. It would honestly. No, wait. Going back to the protagonist and antagonist. Since I said two choices for protagonist, I might as well say another choice for antagonist, and that is Dr. Angus Bumby from Alice Madness Returns. I really loved Bumby in that game. Because most of the iconic villains are like, oh, they're just endearing in a sort of way, like over the top. But I think Bumby's charm is like he's so unrepentantly not that. It's like he's you take someone like Eggman, and you make him someone so coldly heartless and ruthless that he's entertaining in that very dark, super serious way. You're supposed to take him seriously at all times, and that's what makes him memorable. That's basically me with Bumby. And I love Bumby because of what he represented in the story. Like, if there's one reason to play American McGee's Alice and Alice Madness Returns, it's literally the art direction and the story and the writing. Gameplay-wise, they're just... the original Alice American McGee's, like, the controls were like very stiff, and the gameplay in Madness Returns was at least better, but it just got boring after a while more than anything else. But the writing, and I really love Bumby. I think he was a great antagonist. But going back to any power I would have, it would either be the power of money, just so I have more stuff to entertain you with, and I have better equipment and stuff like that. Or if there's one power, I would actually like to have. I would actually like to have. What's the name of that character from? Now I remember. I would actually like the ability of Vivian from Thousand Year Door to basically just go into the shadows and stay there in my little hole. It's like, aha! Now I don't have to hear anything. I don't have to listen to my family, because I'm pretty sure that'd be like soundproof too. It's like, ha 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 ha. And I could just just get away from everything and stuff like that. Like or you can kind of say any like soundproofing ability. That'd be more like anime, because the only thing soundproof ability I can think of is like one from One Piece with Rosante. Dr. De Rosante. If you could carry one feature from video games into real life, what would you pick? That's actually an easy one. Fast travel. Most people will say like, oh, what about save states and stuff? Like, one thing, why would you? Because you probably go mad. But I just honestly would like the idea of fast traveling. Like, oh, I need to go to the store. And I'm at the store. I just think that would be so much. One, that would be so much fun to do. Two, that would save a lot of money on gas, because then I wouldn't have to have a car. Because I don't have to move. It's like, I'm in front of the store. Aha. And three, I could be a douchebag. I could be a douchebag and just mess with people. Say, hey, you want to hang out? Sure. Say, here I am. Say, what the fuck did you come from? I fast traveled. Wait, that's not a real thing. It's for me. That I would just have so much fun with the idea of fast traveling. Yeah, I'd get old and I wouldn't be able to use this much, but you know, at least it'd be better than like becoming immortal and going mad. Let's see. Favorite games genre. Favorite games genre. I already said genre, but you said multiple games, so I was like, I'm gonna say multiple. Any Castlevania game, any Mega Man game, most Mario games. My favorite Mario game is actually Thousand Year Door, because I just really like the writing. Love the writing. Star Fox 64, Star Fox, Assault on the DS. I actually really low-key like that game, because I like the idea behind it. Mario Sunshine, Mad World, No More Heroes 1 and 2, Deadly Creatures, puzzle games, WarioWare and Wario Land games, Need for Speed, Call of Duty, so many. But my favorite games, anything from the Castlevania series, anything from Mega Man, specifically Mega Man ZX. ZX is actually my favorite Mega Man game. No More Heroes 1 or 2, Metroid Prime Trilogy, any of those. Resident Evil 4, too. What do you think of the Halo series? That's kind of a hard question to ask, mainly because most of the stuff I know about Halo come from Red vs. Blue. I don't know that much about Halo. I know it's a shooter. I know it kind of, that and Call of Duty were the godfathers of modern FPSs, stuff like that. But most of my knowledge comes from two groups of teams in a box cannon in the middle of nowhere, shooting each other and just being dipshits. So I can't exactly go into stuff. What would you recommend someone who played Halo but has not tried other FPSs? First off, the obvious one is Call of Duty. Any Call of Duty, out of all the Call of Duties I would recommend, it would either be any Black Ops 1, 2, or 3 exclusively for zombies, mainly because in Black Ops 1 and 2, I know like you're not gonna find a lobby that hasn't been hacked in some way, and you're better off just playing zombies. And in Black Ops 3, the multiplayer isn't exactly that fun, mainly because of the boost jumping, making things really annoying and just making it through catastrophic. If I would recommend a Call of Duty based on the multiplayer alone, I would actually pick World War II. That's actually my favorite Call of Duty. I played a bunch of Call of Duties. Modern Warfare 1, 2, 3, Black Ops 1, World at War, Black Ops 1, 2, 3, and 4, Infinite Warfare, and World War II. And Call of Duty 3. I played a little bit of Call of Duty 3. That's it. But out of all of them, from multiplayer, not from a storyline, not from like any other features, from multiplayer exclusive, I honestly think World War II is probably the best Call of Duty multiplayer mode, because everything is balanced so just right that you don't feel advantage. Like the most cheating thing you're gonna see someone do is play hardline and do like requisition stuff like that on shipment and stuff like that. So there's like you can't win scenario. Yep. Hold on, I got a message from DeviantArt. Yes. There. Yes. Sorry, I got a message from a friend on DeviantArt. But outside of Call of Duty, I would recommend Overwatch. I do think it's still a good game. I still want to try and get into it. The problem is I don't have access to Overwatch outside of like PC, but I don't have the money to get. I don't think my computer is strong enough to play Overwatch specifically. I may ask my friend, said, "Hey, can I try Overwatch with like some bots sometime? See what happens." Other FPSs, I would actually. I know you're not gonna like this because it's an old game. 2, it's obscure, and 3, not a lot of people like it. But Geist, it's an old GameCube game. I actually had a lot of fun playing that game. The multiplayer, it was actually more fun than you would think, because the whole idea behind Geist and the multiplayer is you actually start as Ghost, and you have to actually possess people with the guns to actually fight. And so they have like submachine guns, pistols, sniper rifles, assault rifles. They actually have mines you can just goof off with, and you can even possess like secret enemies that have like one shot weapons, but they're like not really useful. But if you hit someone, it's literally a one shot kill, or you can even possess like a missile, and it's actually more fun than you would actually think. Like if you ever go online, you get like a copy of Geist. It's literally more fun you could think. It's not exactly the easiest game to get used to. What other games? Medal of Honor, maybe. I know Medal of Honor. Battlefield's kind of fallen off the cliff, mainly because it's kind of been like, it hasn't, kind of like Call of Duty has been kind of stagnating, but it's been worse than Call of Duty, mainly because it's literally just one person. It's literally one group, while Call of Duty had like different teams doing it. COD Zombies, like I said, COD Zombies. Me and my friend are actually going to play, when I hang out with him tomorrow, we're either going to play COD Zombies or we're going to play World War II, because we just love them. We just love those modes. Other shooters. I can't really think of any off the top of my head. Like I would really just try Geist as a lark. It's you play the GameCube game with like a couple other people. You actually have a lot more fun than you would realize, especially with the location actually being pretty enjoyable. Like the story mode is not exact; it's more puzzle oriented than anything else. Not to mention, or to get like a lot of the stuff for A lot of the stuff for multiplayer, you actually have to play through the story mode and find a lot of trinkets that basically unlock more multiplayer features. I thought that was a really cool thing. But yeah, those are the games I would recommend. Call of Duty for World War II and Zombies, Geist, Medal of Honor, mainly the older versions, and Overwatch. Mainly because I personally just want to get into Overwatch myself. That's just me. What app games for a smartphone would you recommend? Truthfully, I would actually recommend mainly puzzle-oriented games. So, like classical stuff like Sudoku, crossword puzzles, word searches, Candy Crush. Mainly games that more help you with mind, because I think stuff like AFK Arena and stuff like that, they're just more time. They don't really entertain you in the long run. I mainly just use the phone mainly for. Let me actually just pull this up. I mainly just use it for fanfiction.net because they have an app too. But if there's one specific genre, I would just say just any puzzle-oriented game in general, just stuff like that. Overall it's fun. I honestly think they're more helpful to you than like a gacha game. I never understood the appeal of gacha games, stuff like that. Among Us, I would actually recommend stuff like Among Us. Like any game that you can one is you can actually do stuff in. Like the reason I don't like gacha games is they don't have you do anything. Like that's it. Puzzle games, any puzzle, something you have your fingers constantly moving and stuff like that. That would be it. And finally, I got 3 questions I got from my friend on Discord, and she's from the Philippines, so she literally sent me 3 questions. These are the last 3 questions. What game scared you? Not really many games actually scared. I would probably have to say Slenderman and the 7 Pages. I just found it unnerving. I did like that game. I just think because of its being classical horror, the whole nothing is scarier mentality, it kind of actually spooked me more than stuff like Five Nights at Freddy's. I actually watched someone play Five Nights at Freddy's in person. I was right next to them, and they were doing all the jump scares, and my friend he was just jumping out from Chica, constantly getting the drop on him, and it was like, eh. But I do think classical horror, the whole you don't know when, the whole anticipation is more scary than the result, sort of thing. Also Castlevania. Castlevania Simon's Quest. Mainly because that game was horrible. That game was a travesty. And finally, any Legend of Zelda games. I have horrible memories of Legend of Zelda because I could not beat them no matter how hard I tried. And it's just so bad. Oh, also on offhand, I have a Discord. If you want to talk to me on Discord, you can. Let's see. What got me glued? Resident Evil 4, Castlevania Symphony of the Night, Metroid, all 3 Metroid Prime games, No More Heroes, particularly No More Heroes 2, because I played that before No More Heroes 1 because all they had was No More Heroes 2, and then the next time I went, they had No More Heroes 1. Tatsunoko vs. Capcom. But the most unique one was the game that got me into fighting games. And I gotta go do a little story time. So when I was growing up, there was a skating rink called the Palace. It was a big popular destination for everything that that basically had stuff for kids. It was basically a skate rink on the front, but on the other but in the back there was actually an arcade. They had air hockey, crane machines, all these different arcades. So it was a big hotspot for people to hang out and just goof off and stuff like that. And one of the games that everyone gravitated towards was Turtles in Time. That's probably the most well-known arcade machine in terms of beat 'em ups because TMNT Turtles in Time is really iconic from an arcade standpoint. Everyone uses it. Everyone had one. If you weren't to the point that some people were saying you weren't an arcade machine, you weren't a proper arcade unless you had that thing somewhere. So there was a lot of stuff to do, and one day, there was a big line because that was like that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and the Simpsons arcade game were the ones that everyone crowded around. So I wanted, but like all three were like very crowded, and I was kind of bored like watching people play. So I looked to the arcade machine right next to Turtles in Time, which was an actual arcade for Darkstalkers, which is a Capcom fighting game that had more, is famous for Morgan, the big boob succubus, stuff like that. And I thought, and I saw like one of those idle screens, like they were showing a match, and I was like, that's interesting. So while I was waiting for them, I actually put in 50 cents, and I played the game. I played as the Mummy and Arcturus, and it even had like the arcade machine even had like little inputs, so it's like, this is actually really fun, and it's like I'm actually fun. So I actually stopped playing Turtles in Time. I spent like close to an hour just playing Darkstalkers because I just loved everything about the game, and Darkstalkers actually got me hooked onto fighting games, believe it or not. I don't like a lot of fighting games. I like Street Fighter. I like Darkstalkers. I really wish Darkstalkers would come back. I love Skullgirls. That's probably my favorite fighting game. Super Smash Brothers. Me and my friend sometimes actually play Super Smash Brothers. I mean Inkling because Woomy. And also Rosalina because my friend likes to rage. And he gets revenge on playing as Wii Fit Trainer. But Darkstalkers was the first game that truly glued me. Like, in a way that, like, even Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't glue me as much as quickly as Darkstalkers did. Like, I played it once and I got glued to it. And then I started playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and stuff like that, I just started having fun with the other arcade machine. But Darkstalkers was the one that just glued me. And after that, every time I had a chance and I was able to put like coins, I would just go to the Darkstalkers arcade, put in some quarters. Even if I lost, I would just play a single game or two and see how I progressed and stuff like that. And, and that was a lot of fun. What game annoyed you? This is the last question, by the way. What game annoyed me? I would actually have to say gacha games. I played one gacha game and I'm like, this is so annoying. It was a Jurassic Park themed one where they basically, you basically did all this stuff, you basically try to hash dinosaurs, stuff like that. And I thought it was interesting at first, but it got very tedious. And I just got annoyed by it so fastly because one, they added so many features to it, and two, it just grew tedious. And unlike a lot of people who get addicted to these type of games, I was kind of starting to get addicted, but then I realized, wait, no, this is just like getting boring. And I just stopped playing. But another game that I got really annoyed by would be, it actually had to be American McGee's Alice, simply for the controls. I just found the controls very annoying, and even on hard, it just basically resulted in me like going behind corner, going off corner, throwing the Vorpal blade at something, and then just hiding again. And it got really tedious, and it's like, I just want to beat this game on hard. Like, let me beat this game on hard. If the controls were smoother, I would probably like the game. I probably wouldn't be as annoyed than that, and that'd be it. Like, that would actually end. No, Pokemon game. I don't know why I seem to get annoyed with Pokemon games. Sorry, I have to go do something real quick after this question. But for some reason, Pokemon games always seem to annoy me. I think it's more a pet peeve because I'm more of a Yu-Gi-Oh person than anything else. But that's it. But that would be it. So that is all the questions I have. So I will see you in the next video. This has been Dark Symphony 777, and cut.